Workflows inside of PostHog. This is going to be the master, everything you need to know that PostHog won't tell you when you are thinking about using these or not using these. We have several clients that are using these, and I want to make sure that you have an understanding of where they might fit into the mix within what you're trying to currently do. I'm going to run through an example and just show you an example, soup to nuts. Let's do it as fast as humanly possible. I'm going to show you some of the settings with inside of PostHog, how you could use them. And then third, I'm going to show you ways that I don't see it working out the way that they'd expect it to, you'd expect it to, and just how you could use this within your product mix. All right, I set up a super simple demo. This is posthogdemo.com, and I'm gonna show you what this looks like. If I come in here and I enter in an email and I say, hello world at visionlabs.com, and I'm gonna enter this in here and hit enter, you will see right down here, we have the ADPT, identify persisted event that fired. Okay, this event fired, the identify event call fired, and this is now a person who is now could be identified. Okay, now how do we use that within inside of workflows? So let's just hop into our activity monitor really fast. And there we go. So here within the last few minutes, you can see here every single action that was called. And this is really, really cool because they use the alias. We have everything kind of set up together here. This is our demo site where we just have a bunch of things. But the thing I want to show you here is this, the identity persisted event, okay? That event is what should trigger someone into an action. So we use actions, really much recommend them to kind of group events together. So if I hop into our data management and then look at the actions, you should see, here we go, this event that has all of our different entry points into this demo for demonstration purposes. If I click on this and I scroll down, I'm going to hit Command F for, we look for, all right, here's the ADTP, identity persisted. That is the event that we just triggered. There we go. And here is hello world at visionlabs.com. And it's triggered multiple events. So what we've confirmed is we now have a person, they've triggered the action, and that action we're going to use to then trigger a workflow. So hopping into workflows, here is the first thing I want to show you about PostHog is how these work. So if I create a new workflow, and I'm going to do an empty workflow from scratch, you basically have a trigger that is going to start the workflow. The triggers are really dynamic, it's pretty cool. And then we have dispatch, which is how you're going to send things out. I'm going to set up a very, very straightforward one just for the sake of simplicity here is we have a trigger. I'm going to send, you can do an event, and then you can say here within that event, you have the ability to use events or actions. I'm going to select this for the sake of simplicity here, since we already have that, right, like that. There you go. You can add in filters, right? So if you wanted to add in other types of filters, the same thing that you can do almost everywhere in PostHog exists. People who triggered feature flags, not triggered feature flags, you get the idea. Okay, then when you come down here to frequency, this is really important, is that you want to decide when you're going to use this. The frequency really matters. I didn't think it mattered when I first created a workflow, but it does. So do you want to have this fire every time or one time? And then the one time opens up this new box of how often one time. Did not know that when it first happened, and now I do. So when you do one time, you could say, I want to fire this action one time every 30 minutes if they trigger this. So imagine if a user enters into your application, they trigger something, and they need to fire that once every 30 minutes. But I'd say most of the time you'd have like once every day, once every 30 days, right? So this will fire this workflow one time within 30 days. Even if they trigger the same event 30 times, this will happen one time. Lastly is you can decide these conversion goals. So this is where if you're trying to get someone to do something, it could be a really good use case. The most straightforward example I can think of is integrations. Imagine a consumer app, kind of similar to Monarch or one of those money apps. Is you might want to prompt someone to make a connection, right? Use your app. To use your app, you have to connect something. That could be the goal, is that this workflow is built out to get someone to connect to the app. Again, very straightforward. And then you can use that same idea down here, conversion goal, is you can also have it trigger when the goal is met, right? So if your goal is met, kick them out of this workflow and stop the thing. Very straightforward. There it is. I just wanted to give a couple of notes here. On this build section, When we were building this out for the first time, it was struggling to me to understand exactly when we would use this. The reason being is most companies have a CRM as well that might be better fit to trigger the CRM event using a webhook or using an integration as a data pipeline as opposed to a workflow. So in my mind, correct me if I'm wrong here, if anyone has any better ideas, leave them in the comments down below, is that a user would trigger a automation in your CRM using data pipelines. You could use that via webhook or pipeline, etc., as opposed to using a workflow where you're sending the event from PostHog. I can't think of a use case where it'd be 100% guaranteed better to use the workflows than just having a really, really straightforward system that integrates PostHog into your CRM, and you use the CRM to fire that based off of an event that you receive when an action is triggered within PostHog. That's just a very, very straightforward way. That way you're using PostHog as the CDP, and then you're using your CRM as the actual email function. Again, correct me if you have a different use case down below. I would really love to hear that. Okay, next we have variables. This is a really cool feature that again, a lot of things here. Really cool feature that I'm not 100% sure how we'd want to use this. You can update this variable throughout the workflow here, but I just don't know why I would use this as opposed to using either the web or an event or something else throughout the system. If there's a reason that you could use this, let me know. At this current moment in time, January 26th, when I'm recording this, I don't know how I would use these differently. That's a fact. Lastly, we have tests, which is the coolest part of this overall. I think this is the coolest thing that is PostHog, and I'm going to circle back to tests. Then we have metrics and logs. So metrics is like the number of usage, and the logs is the actual number of, you'll see them show up. That's a trigger. I'm going to come back to the test here shortly because it's super, super cool on how PostHog decided to do this. You can tell it's engineered for developers as opposed to a lot of the other tools here. Now let's talk about email because it's probably the one that people are going to use the most, okay? So when you click on email, you'll see here we're already in the test. I want to go back to the build, and this is where we're going to decide exactly what to do. If you don't have this set up yet, here's my email right there, and then you can add a new email sender if you'd like to have multiple senders. I'm just going to use myself there. This person's email properties email is really important. You have to make sure that you're storing the email in your events this way. If you're not, you're going to run into problems. You also have to make sure you have a subject here as well. This is very straightforward. There you go. The biggest problem I found with this workflow builder in general is this is the absolute worst builder I've ever experienced in my life. I've used everything. I've used Kit, I've used ActiveCampaign, HubSpot, you name it, this thing sucks. But what I will say is that the HTML is by far the best. So what we've been doing on ours, if you go through the posthogdemowebsite.com, you can just use these, and that's what we decided to use. Hey there, I'm going to tell you, if you would like to have our team have a conversation with you, go to visionlabs.com/thehog. It is a straightforward book a call. If you want to have a conversation about using PostHog within your organization. You can already have a PostHog set up, or you could be brand new. We'll talk through, hey, pros, cons, problems, etc. We have implementation packages for every size of organization out there, from small to enterprising. We are not associated with PostHog in any capacity, so we can say, hey, this thing sucks, don't do it. We can also tell you the straight of what we think is phenomenal about the tool. We can also make other recommendations. So go over to visionlabs.com/thehog. I'll see you around. I cannot think of how you're going to build this with a drag and drop. It just is a pain in the butt with like how small it is, how this works with like the pop out. It's just really not that great. So just a word of caution there. Maybe your team decides to really do something. I don't know. If you figure out a way to do that, let me know. The other part here is really cool is the idea of output variables. So you can store things within this email. Or not email, you can sort of within this action. And then lastly down here is you have conditions, and users will skip this if they're not met. So it's a really, really good way of like, if you wanted to do one final check before sending this thing, what do you want to do? And lastly is error handling, what do you want to do? Overall, that's how that looks. So those are the main things. You have a lot of the normal traditional workflow builder things like delay and wait, etc. I'm not going to explain every single thing for you, just because that's how everything works on the internet with these workflow builders. The one thing that is pretty cool, though, is you can set variables, and you can update person properties and set group properties. So if you did want to, you could have a person property here of completed workflow X, and you could update that after these types of workflows here. That's, I think, the coolest part about using this in conjunction with your overall automation stack is that if you decide to use the person properties of PostHog religiously, this could be very, very good where you have other future automations and cohorts and things like that, where you could track cohorts within PostHog and track their LTV, track their usage of people who went through an automation and who did not go through an automation. This could be a very good use case for that. All right, now let's go back and check in on our overall timeline here. Now let's hop back in and check in on our example. So we just did this, right? So I went to the website and I filled out a form. So let's check on how this went. It should have done this because we are using the email capture action, right, within this trigger. So I just went to the website, I did that, we should be good to go. If I come in here and we check in on metrics, we should see one send, ta-da, and that went out there today. The other piece is you can look at this on invocations here, and we should see it here 10 minutes ago. That is us. There we go. You can see all of the deets here. Let's now walk through this little simple workflow. Is that we have it set up so it's based off an action, so any email capture action. It sets up to one time per 30 minutes, and then everything else is set as the default. Then we have this email, and I'll show you exactly how we did it so you can see it on your end. Is we just use the HTML. This is what you'll get, and you have the HTML. It's just one giant HTML block right here that is used. We used our good friend AI to help write this. But if you have your brand guidelines, it's usually pretty straightforward. We then ping our Slack channel. So our team, our sales Slack channel gets a message about someone using this if you are using a non-Gmail account. This is extremely straightforward. It's using block notation within Slack. So here you go. And you can see what that looks like, really straightforward. Okay. So that is a really straightforward workflow. Now let's talk about testing. I mentioned this at the beginning. I said, hey, let's talk about tests. This is the coolest part of this entire thing. Hats off to whoever made this feature. Is if you have over to tests, here's our little thing. It loaded in this last event. You can hit load new event. It'll pull in other events that match the test. And what you can do is you can decide to run a test, which will run a hypothetical, and you can have this thing of what it would actually do. So this is not actually going to send an email. It's going to run a test. Hey, it worked, right? And then you hit go to next step. And then you can turn this off, right? So we're not making it a real HTTP request. Run test. It would have worked. And then go to next step, and we can do run test, and it would have worked. And if you don't want to piss off your team, right, you can always hit this and then go to run an actual test. So if I hit this button right now, it'll ping our Slack channel again, and I'm sure our marketing person will be like, why are you doing this to me? And so that is just a great overall kudos. Hats off to everybody there. There we go. So that is the quickest workflow run through I've ever done, but I really hope that you understand exactly what this is. I would say the only thing that's missing here is a direct integration to surveys. I think if they could figure out a way of having surveys be directly integrated into the workflows as a really straightforward jumping off point, it would be phenomenal. You could use forms to capture email addresses and then use this to quickly do a follow-up. So it kind of turns into a CS and adoption play using the SOAR framework, as opposed to just a general email tool. I think that's really helpful.